The air is heavy with the sound of desperate, ragged breathing. As these tired legs drag across the cold concrete stairs, every vein is popping under the soul-crushing weight of this massive machine. F-rank hunter Jin Tae-kyung is giving it everything he's got to haul this VR capsule home. Guys, he's carrying this like it's his ticket out of the gutter, and honestly, it might be. He finally reaches the 4th floor, lungs on fire, praying the struggle was worth it. But the moment he drops it, a voice calls his prize straight up trash. Tae-kyung can only mutter a confused, "Huh!" Our 27-year-old hero tries to defend his find with whatever dignity he has left. But his friend Jinho, the professional eternal student, isn't buying the hype. He's out here giving a whole TED Talk on why garbage is just garbage. Guys, find a friend who supports your dreams, not one who identifies your junk on sight. Tae-kyung is desperate. He needs the money more than he needs a lecture. Jinho just puts a hand up, telling him to miss him with that guilt trip. That's when the hunter vibes kick in. Tae-kyung starts cracking his knuckles with a dark aura that screams bad idea. Jinho starts backing away, hiding behind the law, claiming F-ranks aren't even real awakened beings. Tae-kyung is about to lose it. Suddenly, Jinho has total amnesia. Me? Say that? Must have been the drinks, bro. Guys, his memory is shorter than his bank balance. Tae-kyung slumps over, defeated. Jinho just gives him the finger guns, reminding him that assaulting a civilian is a one-way ticket to unemployment. The bomb drops. Tae-kyung was already fired this morning. His boss basically gave him a thanks for nothing and sent him packing. This is the brutal reality of being at the very bottom of the food chain. A worthless F-rank. For 7 years, he ground his life away to pay his mom's medical bills and support his sister. Now it feels like his entire life just went to waste. Guys, the struggle is way too real right now. An awkward silence fills the room as Jinho realizes he messed up. Tae-kyung leans in with a terrifying, hollow smile. "You're sorry, right?" Sweating bullets, Jinho admits he might be just a little bit. Tae-kyung immediately brightens up. "Then buy me a drink, bro." Jinho can't believe this ungrateful trash is his best friend. They decide to drown their sorrows tonight like there's no tomorrow. But let's rewind for a second, guys. Back to January 1st, 2015. The world didn't get a New Year's party. They got a total nightmare. A massive gate opened, connecting our world to a realm of monsters. Dungeons began appearing everywhere, pouring out creatures from your worst nightmares. It sparked a devastating war between the newly awakened humans and the monster hordes. By 2020, they finally slayed the Demon King and declared Victory Day. The world was safe, but changed forever. Hunting became a business, a way to clear gates for loot and profit. But in this new era, society has no room for low-rankers like Tae-kyung. Guys, even the hero business has a cruel corporate ladder. Flash forward to the present, and Tae-kyung is tossing a completely wasted Jinho onto the bed. He tries slapping some life into his friend, but Jinho is out for the count. Disgusted by the vomit-stained shirt, Tae-kyung sighs. He told him to take it easy. He tosses the dirty shirt right onto Jinho's face in a fit of annoyance. Sitting on the floor, he realizes he's the one actually suffering here, not this drunk idiot. His eyes land on the capsule again. He's too lazy to even sell it now. "I'll just throw it away tomorrow." Curiosity wins, and he presses the main button. With a mechanical whir, the ARC 2020 capsule slides open. He pulls out a small booklet from inside. A user's manual? He wonders why anyone would leave the instructions inside a piece of junk. The production date is Victory Day, 2020. That doesn't make any sense. He figures it's a printing error. Nobody was making games during world-ending war. Then he sees the warning, no logout, and if you die in the game, you die in real life. Guys, if a dumpster find threatens your life, you burn it. You don't keep reading. He tries to focus on the text, but the words are blurring together. He's too drained to care. He tosses the manual aside, ready to just pass out. But sleep isn't coming easy on the hard floor, especially with Jinho's snores sounding like a literal chainsaw in the room. Tae-kyung is ready to commit a crime just to get some quiet. His eyes shift back to the open capsule. Wait, I wonder if that thing is soundproof. Seeking refuge from the noise, he climbs into the machine and gets comfortable. He clicks the heavy VR helmet onto his head. Instantly, the world goes silent. It's perfect. It's peaceful. It's actually comfy. But as he lays there, reality starts to sink in again. What is he going to do tomorrow? Without a guild, he'll have to beg for scraps at the commission office, and they'll take half his pay anyway. He thinks of his family. He'd live like a dog as an F-rank forever if it meant keeping them safe. Staring into the darkness, he asks his late father for guidance. How is he going to pay the rent? Closing his eyes, he whispers, "I've done everything I can, Dad. Please trust me on that." Exhaustion finally wins. He just hopes tomorrow feels a little bit better. As he drifts off, the capsule begins to hum, glowing with an eerie blue light. A system voice chimes in. Unidentified player detected. Would you like to be registered? But Tai Kyung is already in deep sleep. The system doesn't wait. Exceeded time limit. Commencing auto-registration. Guys, the agree to terms by being unconscious loophole is truly the ultimate villain. The voice asks if he'd like to enter the world of Marim. Taekyung just snorts in response, taking his silence as a yes. The visor flashes. We shall pray for your success. Good luck. The next morning, a soft breeze flutters through the curtains. Taekyung shivers, clutching his blanket. So cold. Did that idiot open a window? He's still half asleep, cursing Jinho's name under his breath, but then his eyes snap wide open. He's not in his room, and he's definitely not alone. What the hell? He screams, bolting upright. He looks over, trembling with pure confusion. Lying right next to him is a beautiful woman with long pink hair, mumbling in a language he doesn't recognize. Taekyung scrambles backward in a panic. This was not in the job description. Looking around the traditional room, he wonders if he accidentally wandered into a hostess bar. Guys, his brain is still buffering the fact that he's in a different dimension. He tries to wake her up, needing answers immediately. The woman rubs her eyes and sits up, looking like she just stepped out of a high-budget movie. Taekyung is terrified, but even he has to admit, she is stunning. She tilts her head and simply asks, Shenmi? Taekyung assumes her name is Sunmi. Spoiler alert, it's not. After a frustrating back and forth, it finally clicks. She's speaking Chinese. He realizes he's rocking a brand new ponytail and zero communication skills. Guys, he's worried about the language barrier when he literally just teleported into a Marim novel. Suddenly, a glowing blue system window pops up right in front of her face. Taekyung recoils with a frantic shout. Holy crap, what the heck is this? Welcome to the game. Buddy, hope you like surprises. The system doesn't even give him a choice, randomly rolling his fate and dropping him into the world of Marim as Jin Taekyung. Guys, the system basically chose his life via a random number generator. Taekyung is losing it. Character? Miram? This definitely wasn't on his to-do list for the day. While he's having a full-blown crisis, the system is just casually installing translation patches like it's a routine Windows update. He lunges at the screen, begging for a pause button that absolutely does not exist. That's when he notices a pink-haired beauty clutching her blankets, looking at him like he's totally lost his marbles. He freezes instantly. Guys, the panic to sim pipeline is a real thing, but then reality hits. He's in a strange room with a gorgeous girl and zero clue how he got here. He takes a deep breath to rationalize the chaos. Logic 101. If there are glowing boxes, it's a game. He grabs a mirror to check out his new face, murmuring about how surreal this gameplay is. Okay, he's handsome. If you're gonna be trapped in a game, you might as well have a top-tier character model. He starts swiping through notifications, wondering how he even logged in without a headset. Guys, this man is literally stuck in 4K and he's still worried about his login history. A bowl of water clicks onto the table as a gentle voice tells him to drink up and sober his mind. This is Wolhwa. And honestly, the NPCs in this world are built different. He takes a sip, mesmerized by the 8K Ultra HD graphics. Seriously, with visuals this good, he can see why people get addicted. Meanwhile, Wolhwa is giving him the most judgmental, "Are you okay?" look I've ever seen. He nearly chokes on his drink. Is there something on my face? She sighs like a tired mom, admitting she's just confused by his behavior. She crosses her arms, demanding to know why Master Jin is acting so weird today. He keeps a straight face, but internally he's dying. Being called master by a beautiful girl is peak cringe, even in a game. She tells him he's either gone mad or lost his mind, especially since he's suddenly talking so formally. Suddenly a tutorial quest triggers. He doesn't even hesitate before smashing that accept button. Step 1. Gather information. Standard RPG stuff, right? He starts reading his quest log out loud like a total dork while she side-eyes him into oblivion. Most tutorials have you killing slimes, but this one wants him to actually use his social skills. Terrifying. Time to play along. Operation Information Gathering starts. Now, he slams the table and demands to know everything about himself. Guys, he really went for the aggressive amnesia play like a pro. She giggles behind her hand, saying he's exactly like the rumors described. His heart drops instantly. Rumors? What kind of rumors? She hits him with a classic "I probably shouldn't say" line, which is basically code for "you're a total mess." Now he's desperate. He leans in, begging for the tea to be spilled immediately. Look at this man's face. He's prepared prepared for the worst, and honestly, same. He laughs it off, claiming he's just curious and that his feelings are made of steel. She gives him a look that says she literally doesn't believe a word coming out of his mouth. After a gossip session, he learns he's in Taiyuan, specifically in a high-end brothel called the Crimson Flower. Wolhua isn't just an NPC, she's a highly respected star hostess. And him? He's Jin Taekyung, the 20-year-old youngest son of the most prestigious clan in the province. The Jin family is basically the royalty of Taiwan, holding the whole region together. They're heroes who hunt down bandits like it's a hobby, and they feed the poor during famines. They're basically saints. The whole city worships the ground they walk on. Ding. New title. Son of a noble. Taekyung is officially winning at life. He's dreaming of gold coins, but Wolhua drops a truth bomb about some serious family drama. He asks about the issues, clearly not realizing he's the center of them. External issues. Rival sects are trying to steal their turf, and for the internal issues, she leans in close with a secret. Apparently the third son of the Jin family is the biggest troublemaker in the history of the clan. Taekyung nods sagely, talking trash about this mysterious third son like he isn't the one in the mirror. Yeah, every rich family has one useless brat, he says, acting all high and mighty. Then, the gears in his head finally start turning. He stops mid-sentence, a cold sweat drenching his back. Wait, how many sons did you say? When she says 3, the realization hits him like a freight train. He's the trash son. The system rubbing it in with the title, Shame of the Family, is just peak comedy, guys. At least the quest is finished. Mission accomplished. Silence fills the room as he processes the fact that he's a certified loser in both worlds. He shakes it off. It's just a game. He'll finish the tutorial and get out of here. He starts psyching himself up for the next step, looking like a total maniac to poor Wolhua. She begs him to just take a nap before he hurts himself or her reputation. That's when the light bulb finally flickers on. Wait, why is he even playing a game right now? He has a job interview tomorrow. He stands up, ready to return to the real world and his mountain of debt. He makes it one step before pausing. He looks back with a soft smile, feeling surprisingly nostalgic for an NPC. It was a fun ride while it lasted, but duty calls. He strikes a pose so dramatic it would make a JoJo character blush. He points to the sky, gathering all his main character energy, and screams "Logout" loud enough to wake the neighbors he doesn't have yet. Nothing happens. Just the sound of his own dignity slowly leaving his body. He tries again, and again, louder, angrier, punching the air like it's the server's fault. Guys, she's literally witnessing a 2D mental breakdown in real time. Then the red text of doom appears. Logout impossible. The room fills with error messages. It's not a glitch, it's a prison. His mind spirals. Is it the hardware? Is he lagging? Did the old capsule finally fry his brain? He remembers his friend calling the machine trash, and suddenly he regrets every life choice that led here. Then, a memory of the user manual flashes in his mind. What did that warning say in the tiny font? Logout is disabled. If you die in the game, your real body stops breathing. Guys, the stakes just went from 0 to 100 real fast. His legs give out. This isn't a game anymore. It's a death sentence. Trapped in a world of martial arts and monsters with 0 skills. Yeah, he's cooked. The system, being a total troll, dings to celebrate his misery. Tutorial Part 1. Clear. Skills unlocked. Profile updated. Welcome to your new life. But all Taekyung can think about is how he's officially the main character of a nightmare. Under the cover of a pitch-black night, a lone carriage rattles through the silent mountain pass. It looks peaceful enough with an old man leading the way, but inside, Jin Taekyung is having a total existential crisis. He spent 3 days trying every dumb trick to log out, but he's still stuck. The reality is brutal. He's trapped in a VR world where dying here means game over for his real body. Guys, imagine being stuck in a game with no respawn and no snacks. After trashing his room and waiting for a rescue that never came, he realized the only way out is to beat the game's hidden conditions. His new plan? Grind quests, level up, and find a safe spot to build his power. Luckily, he knows exactly where to go to get the help he needs. He pumps himself up, ready to fight for his life. Let's get it. Open quest menu. The system asks if he's ready for part 2 of the tutorial. He doesn't hesitate. A soft chime announces his beginner objectives, requiring him to spend points and gear up. Easy work. Open character profile, but his jaw drops when he sees his actual stats. He's supposed to be a noble son, but he's just a level 10, shame of the family. Guys, even in a fantasy world, he managed to be a total disappointment. Still, he's got points to burn and needs to spend them wisely. He tries to buff his chi, but the system shuts him down that requires real training. Fine. If he can't be a mage, he'll just have to be a tank. He dumps everything into strength, stamina, and agility. Pure survival mode. He hits accept, and suddenly, his whole body starts vibrating. Blinding light fills the carriage as he screams in total shock. He literally floats off the seat before slamming back down with a heavy thud. He realizes this is just like the awakening he had back home 7 years ago. Why is it happening here? Is the game rewriting his soul? The system congratulates him on becoming a second-rate warrior. Next, he checks his family skills to see what he's working with. It's a gold mine of high-level techniques, but since he's been a slacker, every single one is locked. He loses it. Are you kidding me right now? He takes a breath and looks at his ability points again. He has to choose between internal force and physical state. As a former F-rank hunter, he's used to brawling, not playing with magic auras he doesn't understand. He bets it all on his physical state to maximize his chance of survival. He locks it in, and immediately, a wave of pure agony hits him. His bones crack and shift as his body literally rewrites itself. Drenched in sweat, he collapses onto the floor. He gasps for air, his heart racing, and opens his eyes to a miracle. He's completely shredded. The gains are real. He can feel the raw, surging power pulsing through his veins. This place is nothing like the real world. With the system and his battle experience, he can actually reach the top. I'm going to make full use of this power. Finally, time to check the loot. Inventory. Inside sits a basic set of traditional robes. He equips them instantly, trading his rags for silk. Not bad. This'll be useful during raids. The tutorial wraps up and another chime rings, announcing a special reward. His eyes sparkle with hope. It's a chain spear, just a basic wooden stick. Guys, look at that face. He really expected a mythic tier weapon for clicking 2 buttons. Whatever. He grabs the spear just as another alert pops up. Part 3 of the tutorial is starting, and it tells him to be prepared. Prepared for what? The suspense is killing him, but he doesn't have to wait long. The driver peeks in, saying they have a small issue outside. The system clarifies, new quest, kill the bandits or die. Taekyung looks out at a whole army of thugs. Small issue, my butt. Meet Jang Sam, the self-proclaimed king of the 5 great mountains who spent his life terrorizing travelers. Since he was 20, he's been leading a crew of thugs, charging tolls to anyone unlucky enough to cross his path. He eventually earned the title Jang Sam of 1,000 strength. It was just a normal morning for the gang until they wandered into new territory and spotted a carriage that looked like it was stuffed with gold. One of the lackeys pointed it out, thinking they'd hit the jackpot. Jang Sam gripped his axe, grinning like he just won the lottery. He blocked the path and roared for them to hand over every single coin they had. Our carriage driver, the legendary bucket hat Ahosi, stayed dead quiet while Taekyung peeked out, wondering if this was the end of the line. The old man calmly counted 6 of them and noted there wasn't an ambush waiting in the trees. Taekyung was internally screaming because 6-to-1 odds are only good if you're the main character. The driver found it weird that bandits would even show their faces in this region, leaving Taekyung totally confused. He explained that attacking a high-ranking martial arts family in their own backyard is basically a fancy way of committing suicide. Guys, these bandits really have negative IQ for trying to rob the Jin family on home turf. But the old man seemed so relaxed that Taekyung started thinking he was some kind of hidden cultivation master. He unrolled his whip with a sharp crack, looking like he was about to solo the entire group. Taekyung's eyes sparkled. He thought his sister had secretly hired a Marim expert to protect him. Jang Sam was fuming, wondering why these two weren't shaking in their boots yet. The driver stepped forward, acting all tough and asking how a lowly bandit dared to block their path. He started listing off gruesome ways he'd shred them and delete their entire family tree for 9 generations. Jang Sam just picked his ear, totally unimpressed by the old man's yap session, and demanded to see who was inside. The driver warned him that anyone who saw his master's face wouldn't live to tell the tale, which only made the boss more annoyed. Taekyung leaned in, ready to see some high-budget martial arts action finally happen. The Ajusi stood his ground firmly for a split second, and then pulled a complete nope and sprinted back to the carriage like his life depended on it. He whispered to Taekyung that it was time for the young master to step out and handle the situation. He insisted that these thugs needed to witness Taekyung's legendary power firsthand. Guys, the driver is literally gaslighting our hero into a 1v6 fight right now. He started glazing Taekyung to the heavens, calling him a genius swordsman who reached the peak of Morim at 20. Taekyung was sweating buckets, realizing this old man had him confused with his much stronger brother. The driver shouted to the bandits that this was the second son of the Jin family, the legendary Jin Mukyong. Taekyung awkwardly raised his hand, correcting him that his name is actually Taekyung. The entire forest went silent. Even the birds stopped chirping. The driver's neck creaked as he turned around, his soul slowly leaving his body. Taekyung sighed, explaining he'd been trying to tell him that for the last 10 minutes. The driver's face turned white. He realized he was protecting the trash third son instead of the genius warrior. Taekyung just held up a tiny sign confirming the bad news. The sheer realization that they were both about to die made the old man start foaming at the mouth. He fainted right there in the dirt. Guys, imagine being so disappointing that your bodyguard chooses unconsciousness over fighting by your side. The bandits absolutely lost it, laughing at the most pathetic display they'd ever seen. Jung-sam pointed his axe at Taekyung, offering to let the useless son live if he cooperated. Taekyung looked at his system window. If he failed, it was game over for real. He counted them again, 6 against 1. Not the best tutorial odds. He remembered the goblins he fought earlier, while one of the thugs stepped up to finish him off. The skinny bandit lunged forward, swinging his axe in a wild arc. Taekyung panicked, screaming for a timeout like this was some kind of playground game. The axe slammed into the ground, missing him by a mile. Taekyung blinked, realizing something was off. He took a closer look at the group of thugs while he backed away. The boss laughed, but Taekyung noticed that besides the big guy, the rest of these guys had lower stats than the goblins back in the tutorial zone. A wave of confidence hit him. He wasn't the one trapped with them. They were trapped with him. He suddenly stopped running and threw his arms up, confusing the hell out of the bandits. Jang-sam thought the kid was finally surrendering out of pure fear, but Taekyung just lowered his stance, telling them to keep laughing while they still had lungs. The boss kept mocking him, saying the rumors about the Jin family's loser son were 100% true. The lackeys joined in, calling him a beaten dog who didn't even know how to bark. Taekyung ignored them, focusing on his breathing. 2 more steps. He ignored the insults and braced his body. 1 more step. His foot slammed into the dirt, and the atmosphere shifted instantly. Suddenly, a massive aura of chi exploded from his body like a solar flare. He could feel the temperature rising. This was the real deal. With a thunderous stomp, he shattered the ground, sending a shockwave through the area. The bandits were blown back, their cocky smiles disappearing faster than their dignity. Taekyung didn't waste a second, calling out for the system to equip his keen spear. Jong-sam tried to raise his axe to defend, but he was moving in slow motion compared to Taekyung. The spear materialized and thrust forward with enough force to pierce through a brick wall. A critical hit landed right in the center of the boss's chest. Jang-sam coughed up blood, his health bar hitting 0 before he could even process what happened. The system messages went wild, announcing the boss's defeat and unlocking a legendary cultivation technique for our boy. The remaining thugs stood frozen, realizing they just watched their leader get one-shotted by a useless kid. Taekyung stood in the center of the crater, looking like a total menace. So, blood dripped from his spear, making the scene look like a high-budget action movie. He turned his cold gaze toward the survivors and asked who was next in line to meet their maker. They immediately dropped their weapons and hit the ground, begging for mercy at the top of their lungs. The system chimed, confirming the quest was complete. Guys, that's how you turn a trash reputation into a legendary body count in 5 minutes. Have you ever had that feeling where you realize you've completely miscalculated who you were dealing with? The carriage driver is looking at the bandit leader's mangled face like it's a 5-star horror movie. Shocked to his core, he stammers, "Young master, did you actually do this?" Taekyung tries to play it cool, acting like taking down a whole squad was light work, but the driver still can't believe it. He looks at the tied-up bandits and asks hesitantly if he's absolutely sure he isn't his genius brother, Master Jin Muka-young, in disguise. Taekyung finally loses it. "I'm Jin Taekyung. Just drive the carriage already." Guys, the driver is officially more scared of his employer than the bandits who just robbed them. As they hit the road, Taekyung's mind wanders back to a conversation from the real world. His brother Jin-ho was inhaling fried chicken while explaining how VR time dilation works. Taekyung thought it was some god-tier tech meant for super productivity, but Jin-ho just looked at him like he was the village idiot. He told him he was the type of loser who would try to use VR to study for the bar exam. The truth is, time doesn't actually slow down. It just feels that way. The game shoves massive amounts of data into your brain, making seconds feel like minutes, but most of it vanishes when you log out. So no, you aren't becoming a genius while you sleep. You're just stressing your brain. Usually, the ratio is 1 hour of real time to 3 hours in-game. But Taekyung was curious if it could go higher. Jinho just yawned, saying higher ratios exist, but are way too expensive for normal people. When Taekyung asked for the price, his brother just kicked him out of the room. Fast forward back to the Mirim world, and the carriage has been moving for 3 days. Taekyung starts to panic. Why hasn't Jinho woken him up for dinner yet? A horrifying thought hits him. What if this junk capsule actually has a massive time difference? The graphics are way too good for a cheap machine, which means it might be top secret tech. The realization that he might be stuck here for years in game time hits him like a truck. Whatever, I can't do anything about it anyway. He decides to stop spiraling and check his status window instead. He's sitting on 10 fresh ability points, ready to be spent. Everything feels so real that he decides to hold on to his points and check his skill list first. He scans through the Jin family spear technique and realizes he has basic footwork and cultivation skills he hasn't even looked at. His cultivation method is already at peak rank, which sounds pretty OP. Suddenly, a loud chime rings in his ears. Tutorial Part 4. Learn Qi Circulation. Penalty for failure? Instant death by Qi deviation. He's sweating bullets. Again with the death threat? Guys, this game developer clearly has zero chill and a massive lawsuit waiting for them. He doesn't want to risk his life for a tutorial, so he decides to just wait it out. He confidently smashes the decline button. The system basically says, "Elmao, nice try," and refuses to close. His face goes completely blank. The prompt pops back up, but now both options are accept. This is not a choice. The game forces the quest on him anyway, and he screams at the top of his lungs. Then it asks to teleport him to a helper, which he tries to decline again. Of course, it auto-accepts because his consent apparently doesn't matter here. He's officially given up. He's just a passenger in this glitchy nightmare. He's swearing revenge on his brother, but then a strange humming fills the carriage. The space around him starts warping like a broken GPU. A massive portal rips open right in the middle of the carriage. He gets sucked into the vortex, screaming as reality bends. He opens his eyes to find himself in an endless, blinding white void. As he wonders where he is, a calm voice tells him to step forward. He sees an old man sitting peacefully on the ground. Wait, is this Gramps, my tutorial helper? The elder just stares back with eyes that look like they've seen 1,000 years. Taekyung flinches under the sheer intensity of the gaze. The master tells him to sit however he likes, which surprises him. Only weaklings care about formal poses. True masters can circulate qi in their sleep. Taekyung panics. The old man is literally reading his thoughts. The elder chuckles at his fear, and then vanishes, reappearing behind him in a literal blink of an eye. With a quick strike to his back, he goes numb. Don't panic, I'm just opening your meridians. Taekyung is paralyzed as the master explains that controlling qi is the foundation of everything. This process will purify his body and sharpen his spirit for the battles ahead. Now focus. Clear your mind like a still lake and find the spark within. The master places a hand on his head, chanting the ancient verses of his family's technique. A blinding light starts to glow from Taekyung's forehead. The power surges through his skull as the chanting echoes in his soul. Follow the path, the old man commands. He has no idea what he's supposed to be following until the system interface kicks in to help him navigate the energy. His entire meridian system lights up like a neon map. He starts guiding the radiant energy through his pathways. He can feel his body popping and clicking as the energy connects everything together. Notifications flood his screen. Quest complete. Qi sense unlocked, and his body has been fully detoxed. And the big one, the main quest, has finally been triggered. Back in the carriage, he's literally levitating in a golden aura. He gently settles back down as the glow fades away. He exhales a cloud of dark impurities, feeling lighter than he ever has in his life. He checks himself out. Every muscle feels energized and ready for action. Qi is definitely the coolest thing he's found in this world. But deep in his headspace, Taekyung stares at a glowing orb containing 10 years of pure, concentrated qi. It's small, it's beautiful, but then he notices something else. A darker, spicy-looking energy sphere crackling nearby. The temptation to absorb it is huge. One touch and he'd be a god. But the system flashes a massive death warning, so he nopes out instantly. Guys, our MC might be crazy, but even he knows game over in real life doesn't have a respawn button. He plays it safe and focuses on the pure energy to finish his quest. With a sharp snap, the connection severs, and the voice in his head actually sounds impressed for once. After a long ride, the carriage finally rolls up to the Jin family estate in Taiwan. Taekyung slides the window open, and his jaw drops at the massive mansion. This place is huge. He tells the driver to slow down for the grand entrance. Time to test out the new toolkit. Open skill menu. Activate Qi Sense. A familiar chime rings out as the system initializes his new vision. It's basically a power level scouter from Dragon Ball. Guys, we're 2 seconds away from him checking to see if someone's level is over 9,000. He lets the radar pulse outward to see what he's working with. The skill highlights anyone level 30 and below in his immediate area. A green ripple of energy flows from his feet, scanning every living soul in the carriage's path. He pings his driver first a measly level 4. Talk about an easy target. This is perfect. No more guessing who can kick his ass. Feeling lucky, he decides to check the main quest progress, but his smile vanishes the second the logout quest pops up. To go home, he needs to reach level 30, hit the first rate stage, and farm 500 fame. He's so overwhelmed that he actually starts tearing up. I can finally get out of this place. He bursts into a manic laugh. It's just a game, and he's finally got the walkthrough. No more playing the victim, he's going to metagame. game his way to freedom. He's ready to find the game dev and catch a lawsuit. But a shout from outside kills the mood. The carriage is stopped dead at the gates by a group of armed guards. The captain, Hyuk Moojin, steps forward and demands their IDs. The driver happily blabs that they're coming from the Crimson Flower. The captain's eye twitches. The infamous brothel? He starts grilling them, clearly thinking they're just more trash at the gate. Taekyung clears his throat, ready for the red carpet treatment. He leans out with his most smug, "Do you know who I am?" face. The captain stares at him blankly for a second. Taekyung tries to be cool and just slams the window shut in his face. He opens it just a crack to bark, "Get out." Guys, getting the window slammed in your face is the ultimate shame for the security. The silence in the courtyard is absolutely deafening. Taekyung pops his head out, offended. "You talking to me?" He's fuming. This guy is acting like he's never seen the young master before. He tries to explain he lives here, but the captain just shoots back a dry remark. "No, listen, I'm trying to say that. I know you're the family failure. Now get out of the carriage." Taekyung is officially speechless at the level of disrespect. The captain insists on standard protocol, treating him like a random trespasser. He reluctantly steps out into the dirt, only to be met with the most judgmental stares in history. It's clear the help doesn't just dislike him, they actively despise him. Something is definitely wrong with this family dynamic. The captain pulls out a ledger and dryly asks for his name. Taekyung grinds his teeth and mutters, "Jin Taekyung." When he claims he's a second-rate warrior, the captain actually stops writing. He just sighs. "Look, stop lying and just be honest for once." Taekyung wants to scream that his stats literally prove he's not capping. The captain moves on, mocking him for staying at the brothel for days. "Must be nice having all that money to blow. Or did you steal from the family vault again?" That word "again" hits Taekyung like a freight train. The captain scoffs, acting like the young master is just a stain on the family name. The reality of his reputation finally sinks in. He's the local joke. The captain turns back for one final brutal parting shot. Do everyone a favor and try to live like a proper human being. He waves his hand to let the trash through. Taekyung stands frozen as a terrifying rage starts to boil over. A monstrous aura erupts. "Hey, stop right there." The captain turns around, confused by the sudden change in vibe. Taekyung closes the gap in a flash and buries a glowing fist into the guard's face. Guys, nothing says I'm a changed man quite like immediately knocking out a minimum wage employee. Meanwhile, inside the main office, the silence is heavy. A manager is trembling on the floor in front of the family head. "State your point," Lord Jin commands without looking up. The manager stammers about one of his guards getting into a fight. He admits the target was the third young master. Lord Jin doesn't even flinch. "So how badly is my son beaten this time?" The manager hesitates. "Well, the young master is in the infirmary, covered in bruises." The room goes quiet as the Lord waits for the inevitable punchline. The manager starts begging for his life, thinking he's about to be executed. Lord Jin stands up, intending to talk to the man who thrashed his kid, but the manager quickly adds, "Wait, the guard is also in the infirmary. He's got a cracked bone and needs serious medical help." The Lord actually freezes in shock. "My son did that?" The manager scurries away, leaving the Lord to process the unbelievable news. Suddenly, a surge of power blows through the room. Waipeng, the loyal guard bows, sensing the shift in his master's energy. Lord Jin bursts into a proud, booming laugh. His disgrace of a son finally has some bite. Back in the real world, Taekyung is watching his own fight highlights like a coach reviewing some seriously embarrassing game tape. In the Marim world, things aren't looking great as he stands there huffing and puffing in front of Captain Hyuk Moojin. With one last burst of energy, he throws a desperate haymaker, but the captain just swats it away like he's bored. Moojin hits him with a classic condescending smirk, admitting the kid has spirit, before roasting him for fighting like a brawler instead of a martial artist. Real-world Taekyung is losing his mind watching this guy's ego. Snapping at the disrespect, Taekyung tells him to shut his trap and swings again. The air rips with the force of his strike, but Moojin counters with a double strike that basically turns Taekyung's ribs into a xylophone. Taekyung is sweating. He really thought he was the main character after beating one mini-boss. The beatdown is so one-sided it's actually painful to watch. His arrogance is officially logging out. The captain grabs him by the hair to deliver one last lecture, but Taekyung is just waiting for the perfect opening. Guys, never underestimate a guy with nothing left to lose but his scalp. He summons every last bit of strength and delivers a brutal, skull-cracking headbutt. Blood flies as the captain's head snaps back. Taekyung is seeing stars, wondering just how high this guy's level actually is. The system finally chimes in, level 20. Yeah, no wonder he was getting cooked. As the screen fades, he realizes it's time to stop talking trash and start grinding levels. Sleep mode is over, and the system is dragging him back to reality. He wakes up feeling like he went 5 rounds with a freight train, wrapped head to toe in bandages. The doctor informs him he's in the medicine hall and has been out cold for an hour. Taekyung slumps back. An hour? In a game world, that feels like an eternity of lost XP. He bolts upright, his body screaming in protest at the sudden movement. The doctor warns him that the bruises are no joke, and he needs to stay put. He gives the young master the classic, "Don't do anything stupid" talk before heading out. Finally, peace and quiet. Time to check the loot. He whispers the magic words, "Open character profile." The screen pops up, revealing 10 shiny new stat points just waiting to be spent. He dumps every single point into stamina, hoping it'll make him a little less squishy next time. He realizes that if he hadn't been hoarding points like a dragon, that fight might have gone differently. But stats aren't everything. He starts throwing some slow-mo shadow punches, realizing he needs actual technique to survive. He's busy planning his comeback when he hears voices approaching the door. The door slides open, and the vibe in the room instantly shifts. A massive dude with a "I eat boulders for breakfast" energy walks in, looking completely disappointed. Each step he takes feels like a mini earthquake heading straight for Taekyung's bed. Taekyung panics, wondering which boss he accidentally aggroed now. He activates Chi Sense, desperately trying to size up the threat. The guy is fuming, complaining that Taekyung's legs should have been broken. His level is hidden in deep red text. Red text means he's at least level 30. Basically, Taekyung is a level 1 goblin facing a world raid boss. He starts connecting the dots based on how the doctor is trembling. The man points a finger and roars at him. Taekyung studies the face, looking for any clue of who this guy is. His brain goes into overdrive, searching for the most logical answer in this family drama. He takes a shot in the dark and asks, "Father?" The big man looks like his brain just short-circuited. The man tells the doctor to beat it. Taekyung realizes he messed up and starts backtracking fast, apologizing for the identity crisis. The doctor leaves without a second thought. "Thanks for nothing, Doc." The door shuts, trapping Taekyung with the human mountain. A fist starts trembling. Taekyung prepares to meet his maker for the second time today. The giant starts screaming about how stupid he is, bringing his fists down with enough force to crack the floor. Taekyung closes his eyes, thinking this is the shortest reincarnation story ever written. But the punches never land. Instead, he gets a lecture about chasing women and gambling away all his money like a total degenerate. He's being scolded for being the shame of the family, and Taekyung is just confused why he's still alive. Then the man starts gently fixing his bandages while still shouting threats for the benefit of anyone listening outside. The giant pauses, his intense gaze softening for a split second. Taekyung is completely lost. What's happening right now? The scary man breaks into a warm grin and pinches his cheek. Worried about his non-existent martial arts skills, he pats Taekyung's head like a proud, overprotective big brother. Taekyung drops the ultimate bomb. "Who are you?" The brother's reaction is pure cinematic drama. He starts crying, convinced his brother's brain has been turned into mush. Taekyung just doubles down with a straight face. Total memory wipe. As he gets shaken like a Polaroid picture, he decides faking amnesia is his only ticket out of this mess. A bit later, he's literally holding a sign that says he's clueless while his brother tries to figure out a plan. His brother leans in for a pop quiz to see what's left in that head of his. Taekyung plays dumb, but he's already scanned the family files. He rattles off his brother's name, rank, and the fact that he's 35 and single. Ouch! He then lists their parents' status and their second brother's legendary nickname. Guys, if you're gonna fake amnesia, maybe don't recite the family Wikipedia page from memory. His brother is impressed for 2 seconds before the suspicion kicks in. He realizes he shouldn't know those secret nicknames. Taekyung's internal "oh crap" meter is redlining. He immediately goes for the Oscar-winning performance. "My head, the pain, it's returning." Later, the doctor clears him, saying the swelling should go down in a few days. Finally, he takes his first steps out of the clinic as a free man. A servant is waiting to escort him back to his humble abode. Walking through the estate, he realizes his big brother is actually looking out for him. They stop in front of a mansion that's so big it probably has its own zip code. The servant points him toward his private bedroom on the second floor and dips. The interior is even crazier. Taekyung is living the absolute dream. Comparing this to his tiny studio apartment in the real world, he's starting to like this maroon gig. Guys, the glow-up is real when you trade a microwave for a palace. He approaches the final set of doors, heart racing with anticipation. He reaches for the handles, ready to see where the magic happens. The doors slide open with a satisfying click. Jin Tae-kyung stood there for a moment, wondering what was behind the massive doors, only to find a wardrobe so big and sparkly it would make a celebrity jealous. Walking through the rows of silk, he realized the original owner was low-key addicted to high-end fashion. Hoping the next room wasn't just another closet, he reached for the final set of handles. He pushed them open, and a blinding light flooded the hallway. Inside was a massive, ancient library packed to the ceiling with dusty scrolls and books. Jackpot. He grinned, finally finding the jackpot he'd been looking for. He reached onto a high shelf and pulled out a worn-out manual, carefully blowing off the dust to reveal the hidden title. The 3-foot Techniques of War? The system chimed in immediately, labeling it as a basic, third-rate martial arts scroll. He didn't care. Having a system that could auto-teach him martial arts was a total cheat code. He let out a sigh of relief, thinking his life just got a whole lot easier. But right as he was about to hit accept, something caught his eye in the corner of his vision. The system showed the Jin family's legendary techniques, but they were all locked tight. He realized if he had limited skill slots, he shouldn't waste them on garbage. So, without a second thought, he tossed the third-rate manual into the air. I'm not filling my head with trash when there's better stuff in here. With a greedy smile, he started digging through the shelves for the ultimate technique. He grabbed a fancy red book titled The Night King's Secret. His face immediately went deadpan as the system labeled it a 19-plus adult novel. Guys, the original owner of this body was definitely a member of the Culture Club. As night fell over the estate, the moon hung high and bright in the sky. Inside the main study, the sound of a brush hitting the table signaled the end of the day's work. Wei Peng bowed to his master, Jin Wei Hume, acknowledging his hard work. The two of them stepped out for a quiet stroll through the courtyard. Wei Peng adjusted the lord's fur collar, making sure he wouldn't catch a cold. Wei Kyung laughed, saying he'd probably be bedridden if it wasn't for his loyal attendant. Wei Peng joked that at this point, he was basically the lord's personal housewife. Wei Kyung sighed, mentioning how the elders are already breathing down his neck to get married. He immediately imagined a terrifying, shadowy bride waiting to ruin his peace. But he knew he had to do it eventually, all for the sake of the family legacy. Wei Peng looked up at the moon, commenting on how bright the night was. Suddenly, they both paused when they saw a light flickering in the distance. It was the third young master's room, and the candles were still burning late into the night. Wei Peng assumed he was just drunk again, but Wei Kyung sensed something different. He signaled for silence and began to sneak up the wooden porch. Wei Peng was convinced they were about to walk in on something scandalous. Wei Kyung whispered, "Listen to that heavy breathing. I'll bet my whole paycheck I know what he's doing." Wei Peng looked disgusted, but leaned in to see the obscene behavior for himself. But when he peeked through the gap, his eyes nearly popped out of his head. There was no girl. It was just Tae Kyung, his back glistening with sweat as he pushed himself. He was panting like a beast, eyes glued to a martial arts manual. His feet were sliding across the floor, muscles twitching from the sheer intensity of the drill. He grunted the steps aloud, forcing his body to memorize every single movement. He slammed his foot down, barely managing to keep his balance. The doors rattled from the force of his movements. He shouted in frustration at the difficult technique, while outside his brother stood in total shock. Wei Kyung turned to his attendant with a knowing look. Inside, Tae Kyung collapsed, while outside, Wei Peng realized he'd just lost his salary. A look of pure, brotherly pride washed over Wei Kyung's face. "You said it yourself, Wei Peng. Looks like I'm keeping your money this month." Meanwhile, the system chimed, confirming that the Jin family foot technique was finally mastered. Tae Kyung grabbed his water canteen and chugged it like his life depended on it. He flopped onto the floor, surrounded by piles of books and exhaustion. He couldn't believe most of this library was just the original guy's private stash of research material. He was just lucky the pervert at least kept the family's actual spear and foot manuals. He checked the system to see the details of his new footwork. The system called it simple, but Tae Kyung knew it was anything but. Following those glowing floor prompts was a total nightmare. One wrong step and he'd have to restart. The sun started to peek through the window, and he realized he'd been training all night. If it took half a day just for the footwork, the spear training was going to be a total grind. He stretched his aching limbs, trying to get pumped for day 5 in this world. He picked up his lantern, deciding to call it a day. He grabbed his things, figuring he should just focus on what he could handle for now. Alright, that's enough training. Time to head back. But he made sure to tuck that Night King book into his belt. Guys, he's definitely not taking that back for the literature. We open with Jin Tae-kyung deep in meditation, glowing like a human nightlight, before letting out a long, controlled breath to finish his morning routine. A servant walks in with tea and nearly jumps out of his skin seeing the young master already awake. Tae-kyung just gives an awkward smile, claiming he couldn't sleep a wink. Internally, he's hyped because his chi is finally flowing, making his mind sharp and his body feel energized. The servant worries about his wounds, but Tae-kyung insists the pain is already gone. He tries to ask a favor with a polite smile, but the servant's reaction is not what he expected. The poor guy starts sweating bullets, begging Tae-kyung to stop being polite and just talk to him like trash again. Realizing his manners are actually scaring people, he quickly switches back to his usual tone. He asks for a spare training room, but the servant looks like he's about to have a heat stroke from the stress. An awkward silence fills the room as they just stare at each other. Guys, his reputation is so bad that basic human decency feels like a threat to the staff. He realizes being a good person in this body is going to be a struggle. The servant finally relaxes. As you wish, young master. What exactly do you need? Meanwhile, at the Lord's office, Wei Peng is wrapping up a meeting and clearing the room for some serious business. Once the doors are shut, the real conversation begins. Wei Peng reports that the elders were so happy about the third master's accident that they almost skipped work to party. He had to swoop in and shut down their celebration before they could throw their paperwork away. He slams the desk, warning the Lord that the elders are ready to cause trouble again. But the Lord just laughs it off, totally stoked that his little brother is finally trying to learn martial arts. Wei Peng gives him a deadpan stare, reminding him that politics don't care about family bonding. The tension in the room is thick enough to cut with a sword as they lock eyes. The Lord slumps back, complaining about how much of a headache those old geezers are. Wei Peng tries to offer advice, but the Lord is already trying to dodge the conversation. Wei Peng refuses to back down, listing all of Tae-kyung's crimes, including the 5 times he embezzled family funds. He points out that by law, the kid should have been executed already, and the rest of the clan hates his guts. The Lord gets defensive, asking Wei Peng why he's being so hostile toward his lovable brother. Wei Peng finally snaps, explaining that this brat is the reason the Lord is losing his authority to the elders. The Lord falls silent as the weight of the situation finally hits home, especially when he's reminded that the elders know he's still funding his brother's disasters. Finally exploding in anger, the Lord obliterates his desk with a single massive punch. He walks to the window, realizing he needs to let his brother be treated like a man for better or worse. Staring out at the courtyard, he decides this will be the kid's absolute last chance. Wei Peng tries to chime in, but the Lord's expression is dead serious now. He notes that ever since the memory loss, his brother has genuinely become a different person. He asks Wei Peng if he can't see the change in the kid's personality too. Even the stone-faced Wei Peng has to admit the martial arts training is very unlike the old Tae-kyung. A devious idea starts cooking in the Lord's head as he looks at the wreckage of his desk. He taps his hand and calls out to Wei Peng. With a massive, scheming grin, he orders a decree to be issued under his name immediately. Later that day, the peaceful afternoon is interrupted by a very official announcement. Wei Peng's voice echoes through the courtyard as he unrolls the sacred scroll. For breaking 14 sacred family laws, a heavy sentence has been passed. Tae-kyung is surrounded by masked guards and told he's being locked in the cave of training indefinitely. He just scoffs at first, thinking this is some kind of weird joke. Wei Peng orders the guards to tie him up, and things get real very fast. Tae-kyung starts laughing, the pure absurdity of the situation finally breaking him. As the ropes go around him, his laughter echoes through the yard like a madman. But then his patience completely snaps. He sends the guards flying, screaming that he asked for a gem, not a maximum security prison. He's livid, shouting about how indefinite sounds like a total life sentence. Wei Peng tries to explain, but Tae-kyung is too busy having a midlife crisis to listen. Guys, if throwing a toddler tantrum worked in Murim, we'd all be grandmasters by now. He's really out here flailing on the floor like it's nap time. Wei Peng is not amused by the circus performance. His aura shifts instantly, and his eyes glow with a pressure that shuts Tae-kyung up. The sheer killing intent freezes him mid-tantrum, leaving him covered in a cold sweat. Suddenly Vort rooms, and a guy with an arrogant stare will sense a high-level master technique. Tae-kyung is shook, realizing the guy standing in front of him is a literal monster. Wei Peng explains that this punishment is actually the Lord's way of protecting him from the elders. The guards are confused by the silence, but Wei Peng continues the mental telepathy. Taekyung remembers his brother's goofy face and realizes he's actually being looked after. It's only for 7 days, which sounds way better than forever. Being a true gamer, he immediately tries to negotiate the sentence down to 3 days. Wei Peng responds with a look that says keep talking and it becomes a month. Annoyed, he decides to use to see if he can actually take this guy. A flash of light scans the area as he tries to find a weakness. Wei Peng just stares him down. Well, any more complaints? Guys, there's nothing like a level unknown tag to instantly humble a main character. He sees the stats and folds faster than a lawn chair. Soon, they're marching deep into the Rocky Mountains under heavy guard. They arrive at the massive iron gates of the Cave of Training, built into the cliff. The escort team approaches the entrance of his new temporary home. Back at the estate, the Lord senses his brother has finally reached the cave. Bound and defeated, Taekyung prepares to start his first real training arc. The Lord watches from afar, satisfied that his plan for his brother is finally in motion. Taekyung awkwardly bows his head, stuttering at a greeting to the man who holds his life in his hands. But Wei-kyung isn't here for small talk. He declares that he's officially done with his brother's reckless stunts and sentences him to solitary confinement, asking if he has any last words before his doom. Taekyung just drops to his knees, accepting the L without a single complaint. Wei-kyung stares him down in a heavy, suffocating silence, before pointing toward the dreaded Cave of Training and ordering the guards to haul him away. The guards tie him up tight, barking that his release date is basically whenever we feel like it. With a massive rumble, the iron doors of the cave slide open like the mouth of a tomb, and Taekyung is marched past his brother, looking like a man walking to his own funeral. He keeps his head low, acting totally dejected for the audience. But suddenly, a secret telepathic voice echoes in his mind. It's Wei-kyung, whispering that he's already stocked the cave with everything he needs. Taekyung's eyes widen. His scary brother actually has a soft spot for him? A smug little smirk creeps onto his face. Then, with a deafening slam, the doors seal him away from the world. Later that night, as an owl hoots over the estate, Wei Peng tries to calm his lord down, telling him to stop stressing over the kid. He points out that Wei-kyung is acting like the boy is made of glass, even though he's clearly fine. Wei-kyung sighs, admitting he just can't stop worrying about how frail his brother used to be. Wei Peng rolls his eyes, reminding him that the kid has swallowed enough legendary medicine to fill a warehouse. He brings up the 100-year-old ginseng incident from last year. The head doctor was so mad he almost performed surgery just to get the roots back. Guys, imagine being so spoiled that your medical history is basically a heist movie. But the jokes end there. Wei-kyung admits the internal family drama is giving him a massive migraine, and the secret meetings held by those people are making things even worse. He's talking about the Mount Heng Sword Sect major players with even major grudges. Wei Peng confirms he's already sent spies to figure out their next move. Wei-kyung stands tall, ordering their forces to be ready for whatever war is coming their way. Meanwhile, inside the hellish training cave, it's basically a 5-star hotel suite. We're talking luxury beds, fresh tea, and racks of high-end weapons. Taekyung gets straight to work, locked onto an invisible target. He thrusts his spear forward, shouting, "Pierce of the heavens." Green energy explodes as the strike hits dead center. The system goes wild, announcing that his repeated grinding is actually raising his base stats. He pants, staring at the screen in shock. He didn't know he could buff himself just through pure sweat, but he pushes too hard, and his body finally gives out. He looks up at the ceiling, exhausted, admitting he thought this place was going to be a miserable dungeon. If he knew solitary was this cozy, he would have committed crimes months ago. Suddenly, a warning pops up. He's hit peak fatigue and needs to eat ASAP. His stomach is screaming, but he refuses to waste time resting. Then he remembers the outstanding grain pills he smuggled in. He commands the system to summon one, and a dark herb-filled pill shimmers into his hand. He takes a closer look and immediately regrets his life choices. The thing smells like straight-up goblin trash, but for the sake of the gains, he opens wide and shoves it in. He shivers in disgust as the earthy, foul taste hits his tongue. Instantly, a golden aura flares. His fatigue is gone, and his stats are doubled for the next hour. Hyped on the rush, he checks his character profile, and his jaw drops at the massive boost. He realizes if one pill is good, a whole jar must be god tier. He dives into the pot like a starving animal, munching them down by the handful. Suddenly, his body locks up. Red alarms start blaring in his ears. The system coldly informs him that he's triggered overconsumption status. He collapses, completely paralyzed. Guys, eating the entire pharmacy isn't a power-up, it's just a trip to the ER. scar. An hour later, the paralysis finally wears off. Tai Kyung is back on his feet, grinding his spear technique like a madman. Sweat pours down his back as he swings with everything he's got. He spins through the forms, clearing out imaginary enemies. But the system suddenly stops rewarding him, saying he failed to earn mastery. Are you kidding me? He screams, tilting at the screen. He stomps his foot, furious that the leveling curve is getting so steep. He leans on his spear, trying to figure out the missing piece of the puzzle. He takes a breath and decides to try the routine again, slow and steady. He flows through the stances, focusing on the rhythm of his breathing. He gathers his momentum for the finisher, and as the system dings, he realizes something strange. His foot technique mastery increased, but his spear mastery didn't budge. He stands still as the realization hits him like a truck. A confident grin spreads across his face. He's finally figured it out. The spear isn't just about his arms, it's about synchronizing his feet with the flow of chi. A massive surge of fiery energy gathers at the tip of his weapon, and his eyes lock onto the floor with deadly focus. He leaps into the air and drives the spear down with an earth-shattering roar. A thunderous explosion rocks the entire cavern. As the dust settles, he touches down on the shattered floor. His hands are shaking, but the spear is still vibrating with power. He flashes a satisfied smile, knowing he's finally cracked the code, but the move drained every last drop of his energy. He leaves a massive crater in the unbreakable stone before collapsing from exhaustion. The notifications flood in. He's unlocked a rare achievement and his mastery has skyrocketed, triggering a massive level up. Well, that's all for today. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and yet don't forget to share and subscribe my channel.